Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode this week of the Signal Boost. I am author John A. Douglas, the host of the Signal Boost, a place for independent authors, comic creators, gamers, streamers, independent creators, and entertainers of all walks of life. I want to welcome you to our guest panel this evening. First, for the Signal Boost, we have more than one guest this time. We've got a bunch of comic guys on here, some indie comic guys.
Three guests, but one project.
Right. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, a couple of these guys are returning. Please welcome Mr. T Bunny, the author of, Community Service. Mm-hmm. And down there, you have Mr. Jared Brickey of Frost Comics, and you have Mr. Aaron of Immortal Rising Comics. And now we may have folks pop up during the stream. A couple of folks that I thought were going to be here aren't able to. We wish them well. Thank you thank you for watching if you're able to. But since it's a big comic heavy panel, I decided to break out an appropriate coffee mug.
Bastard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Coffee is in. Just so there's no misunderstanding, Aaron and Jared are not related. So that we know of. So.
That I know of. I mean, I don't.
There might have been a wild night in college back in Aaron's heyday. I don't know.
I'm not so sure we aren't quintuplets. I mean, how many older white guys with beards wearing glasses can we possibly have on one panel?
I had the understanding that you couldn't write comics unless you were an older white guy with a beard.
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, you can't be associated with indie comics unless you're in like 40
okay.
Round.
Well, yeah, right. That's the only reason why I grew this thing. Really.
Except for Mike Barron. Mike Barron's the exception. So.
Right. Well, it's Mike Barron. I mean, he gets to make the exception.
He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
Now, before we get started and too far into it, we're gonna roll to see how the live stream goes. Now, big panel, so big dice. This is the biggest dice I got. This is Big Chungus. Okay. This is actually cool. He's a gelatinous cube dice. You can't see it, but there's like skulls and bones and stuff on the inside. So it's awesome.
I love it.
Cool.
Nice. It's one of my favorite D&D monsters, so let's hope Big Chungus is nice to us.
Natural 20.
Yeah. That's a 3.
No, that's good. I don't know what you're talking about.
My luck holds.
Yeah, my pluses are so good.
The gelatinous cube is one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons monsters. So much so, this is a gift that my son got from me for Christmas. This is the only Funko Pop that I actually own. I made an exception.
That's pretty great, though. Yeah,
it's great in games too because it's giant size. This thing is awesome. He gets me a lot of stuff that I like for Christmas. So I would like to thank everyone. I'm going to go to the chat and say hello to everyone who's there. We are streaming live on YouTube. We are live on the Rumbles. Excuse me, something in my throat. I'm also live on my Facebook page, but I'll have to deal with that later.
And my Twitter.
And my Twitter and my Facebook. So.
We are all over the place. You are not going to be able to go on social media and not see our ugly faces tonight.
The point is to be completely unavoidable.
Yeah. Unavoidable. Completely.
Coffee is inevitable.
Like Thanos,
swing a dead cat without hitting us. We'll be there. There you go.
I'm going to say hello to the folks in the chat. Mr. TJ Lombardi, welcome, sir. Good to see you. Herman P. Hunter, thank you for being here. Miss Katie from Periapsis Press, hail to you. The Time Prophet, I assume, coming from someone else's channel. Who is John? Another Wabbit? No. I associate with orcs.
Time Prophet happens to be one of my stalkers. So,
lucky you.
Paladin Dragoon Rider, thank you for showing up. Andrew Campbell over from Australia, thank you, sir. Redoubt Productions, good to see you.
Nice. What's up?
And Mr. Frost Comics shows. That sounds somewhat familiar. And Mr. Michael Harris, all the way from the land of the rising sun. He lives in China with his family and teaches Chinese kids how to speak English.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah. What's up, Michael? He was on my show before.
Wait, was that Japanese?
I assume.
I'm sure Michael will let us know in the chat. He won't stand for a mistake like that.
It's a kung fu theater Japanese. So take it with a grain of salt.
Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for being here. And you guys contacted me. You guys have a comic that you're working on. Everybody's got a comic that they're working on.
Yeah.
But this one's a little different from the singular projects that we've had before. You guys are working essentially on a group effort, something of an anthology.
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah. Out of Obscurity is a project that came out of a Twitter meltdown that a guy kind of pulled us all into a group, and then he had this meltdown, and so and the group was kind of like going to go defunct, and Luke Stone says, while we're gathered here, he's like, how many of you guys have writing credits? And we're like, I don't have one. Most of us didn't have one.
Yeah.
So why don't we do a project just together, just for the experience of it, and to get our names out there, get a writing credit, and so we're all like on board with that. And then the suggestion was made from somebody. It might have been Luke, but that why don't we do IPs that kind of fallen out of the public eye? They're back in public domain, and so we all went to this like one website with this massive number of public domain IPs, and we all kind of like found one that we liked, and we started the project, and it kind of whittled down from about I think nearly 13 or 14 creators at its max. And we're down to the 7 left basically is what you're getting. But basically, actually, Aaron kind of came on really late because I mentioned the project, and he was in my chat one day, and he's like, "Hey, you're still taking entries?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think we will."
Well, so I had joined this this DM group late, I guess, and missed a lot of the drama and all this stuff. And they were like, "Hey, you're pretty cool. You want to join this DM?" I was like, "Sure." And then I'm hanging out, and then I see mention of an anthology. I was like, "Yeah, I would love to. Can I get in on that? Is it too late?" And then they were like, "Oh, you got about a week, and to prove that you're going to do something." So I whipped up a script and started working with Jose, and that's how we came out with the Tower Time Forgot.
And just so you know, he's the first one to finish.
Well, Jose, yeah. The quickest pen in the West.
Yeah, definitely.
Quickest pin in
the Southwest,
in Mexico, yeah.
And see, now that you guys are mentioning this to me, I remember because you guys brought me into that. I got brought into that DM group as well. Mm-hmm. And when I first got there, I get pulled into a lot of DM groups, and it's just sometimes I'm just in and out. But I do remember this conversation about this anthology, and now I'm like, oh, now it's starting to click into me. Oh, this is what everybody was starting to work on. Y'all kind of indicated to me like, hey, would you like to be part of this too? And I was like, it's interesting, but I was also kind of in the really heady days of the last days of when I was writing my novel. So like all my creative focus was on the last 100 pages I was working on.
Oh, sure.
At that 100? Time. So right. I was in a creative fervor to just get this done and get it to the editor. So sure. I was unfortunately not able to stop, kind of pause what I was doing and admittedly, I've been a writer for a long time, but that's all been hobby writing, novel writing. So comics writing has been a challenge for me the few times that I've tried it. And I'm anxious to learn, but that was just not the time for me to put the brakes on my book and start learning how to write comics. It's coming one day, I promise.
Yeah. Comics is an entirely different animal. It's almost an entirely different art form than
really
mere writing.
Sitting there thinking about every panel and
how you want to structure
everything.
Yeah, like you really have to be very choosy on what you're going to include.
Yeah, you have to figure out the visual language as well as the verbal language, and what you can include and what's going to be there visually, which is a problem in modern comics is they don't do that, and so a lot of stuff that they could be showing is they're telling too much,
You're frozen.
Is that they are not able
There's
to convey their ideas in a shorthand manner. It's got to be a lecture. That's why you have so many of these egregious examples in comics of people giving lectures and just word vomit. And that's great in a novel because you're trying to convey a lot of big ideas. But in comics, this is a visual medium. You need to be. I understand you have to be concise and short and say what you have to say in as short amount of time as possible.
Dinner conversation was great in Heat, but it's not so good in a comic.
Wait, yeah.
Okay.
So here's my impression of a modern comic. We'll say a Spider-Man. Okay, everything out here would be a word balloon, and it would be a long lecture about something dumb.
It's like it's the meme, right, where they show the leftist memes where it's like the meme is the person speaking and it's like 6 paragraphs of text that they have scrunched in. And that's why you have like lectures, because they have to try to fit this leftist meme worth of text into something, and they can't let that get bothered with something that's silly like action or things happening. So that's why you have people sitting around sushi bars or talking about adulting or stupid stuff like that in the latest X-Men
they
comic,
have
because
to explain their new definitions and dialogue.
Right, too. Yeah. No, they're right. You just have to understand how they're right. It's not like
Like an egregious modern example would be there's a conversation John Constantine's involved with where this woman is being misgendered by her mother, and John Constantine is like appalled. A guy who sold out his friends to Satan to get out of a Faustian deal is upset that this woman's like misgendering her daughter.
And that really bothers me about stuff like that isn't that they have a character that has that stance or opinion or whatever. It's that every character has that stance or opinion. And I know that a lot of people give a crap to Alan Moore and everything that he's done and blame Watchmen for a lot of stuff,
including me.
Yes, but what Watchmen did very, very well, and I will always give him credit for, is that Rorschach is completely indistinguishable from Dr. Manhattan, who's completely or distinguishable from Dr. Manhattan, distinguishable from Night Owl, distinguishable from everyone in that book has their own motivations, and they are completely different. Just because Rorschach has his opinions about everything doesn't mean that Night Owl has the same ones or vice versa. And instead we now have like Captain America, a dude born in the 1910s and 20s. I don't think that he's going to be super progressive with his politics, but he has to be in Marvel because they can't allow someone to be a good guy unless they have the right thoughts.
Right.
That's repulsive.
Hail to Hojo, who was unfortunately not able to join us this evening. I didn't have time to set up like a camera that was pointed to a picture of Hojo. I thought that would have been funny, but I didn't have time for that. Maybe another stream. Hojo, you are here in spirit. We miss you, brother.
Yeah, we'll hit 10 grand for sure.
Well, maybe we'll get the chin in next time.
I think what Hojo has a good point here, and I was actually thinking about this today or yesterday. People who have no life experience in International Being Comics. You can. It is painfully obvious when somebody who has no life experience writes anything, because, you can tell it by, let's say, your dream is to be a writer.
Lack of nuance.
There's that. But you go out of high school directly into college. You take creative writing courses. You get your English literature degree, and you get out and you go straight to like writers' rooms at a young age. What is your life experience beyond having food with your friends, having drink with your friends, mealtime at college, the highlight of your day, going out to party, talking to your friends about your feelings? It's painfully obvious when they don't have. They've not struggled in the same way that a lot more older, experienced writers have.
Well, one thing about this anthology, and what's really impressed me about it, and I've seen most of the scripts for this thing, and the thing that's impressed me deeply about it, and Lucas said that he's seen all of them, and he said the same thing, is that every single story is distinctively a point of view. And there's we have everything from a eerie ghost story like mine to a sci-fi post-apocalyptic epic like his, and you got a comedy, Mr. Magoo meets One Punch Man down here with Frost, and that's just 3 of them. But you also have like a revenge tale, which is going to be Maddie Fowler's, his Puritan, which is based on I think
Solomon Kane.
Yeah, Solomon
Yeah,
Kane,
yeah.
Howard Solomon Kane, and you got Korak, son of Tarzan,
Yeah.
based on but his is more of a man fighting against the encroachment of modern society. Like the last guy on the gate, or on the wall. It's a beautiful story. I can't wait for people to read it. And but every single one of these stories, we took an IP that no one had heard from for in some circumstances decades and decades, and we basically breathed life back into them, and there's just these 7 perfect little stories here waiting for people to read and absorb. And RJ's got Clock Strikes, which is one of the most influential pulp characters. He's one of the earliest ones. There's a lot of things you find in this Clock Strikes that later made its way into Batman and Shadow. And so he was kind of like and so all of these stories are just so distinctive and so unique and so their own little world. That
I want to interject real quick.
Go ahead.
There are so many. Was it like 7 plus all of the writers, the artists, and all that stuff that are associated with all these stories? Like all these people are up and comers. Not we're not just doing this. Like we have other books out there as well. So you're going to start seeing the same authors on this book in throughout the indie scene. So come see everybody all together at once. It's cool. It's super cool.
It's like an all-star game.
Yeah, right.
Well, but it's Catch a Rising Star.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're like the rookies part of the all-star game. Rookie all-star
the
game.
ones to watch. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's like when Robin Williams and Steinfeld and all those guys were coming up as the Catch a Rising Star. Because every one of these guys are going to be heavy hitters eventually, I believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, that's the ethos of the Iron Age, right? Is we're not just independent creators; we're also fans that are disenfranchised from the things that we have loved for a long time. And
100%, dude.
Our comics kind of fell apart before a lot of these other things did, because it was a much smaller industry. It was much easier for those who infiltrated it to get in there and get into positions where they can't be. They're struggling to. They're not doing it just for ideological purposes. They're also doing it to protect their jobs. They don't want to get booted out of those jobs, and eventually they kind of will. And Heather Antos has already done a pretty good job of pretty much destroying her. Pretty much getting blackballed at every place that she's worked at, from what I've seen. That was, and that is hilarious to me.
And get rehired and promoted.
Right, failing upwards, but is it really going upwards if you're going from Marvel to DC and then finally crash landing over at
if you
IDW?
Can't spell April O'Neil.
Arpel.
You don't need to be anywhere near any kind of written medium, okay?
Excuse me, you mean Arpel O'Neil?
Arpel O'Neil. Arpel.
John's meme of April O'Neil mixed with Carl. Best ever, dude. It's one of the best memes I've seen the last year.
Right. The funny thing about it is I got into a Twitter spat with her. She put the bait out that it's like, how do you incels feel about the women taking over comics, and I knew it was bait, and I usually don't rise to the bait, but I was like, okay, and I was like, oh, women taking over comics, you mean like this? And I showed her the Arpel O'Neil cover. I said, this was you, right?
I saw that. That was hilarious.
Thank you. And she's like, no, that wasn't me. That was another. I was like, wait a second. You got hired 5 months before this came out, and you're supposedly a senior editor. You didn't see this, You're throwing your other fellow editors under the bus, and some of them are people of color.
You have one job, Heather. You have one job.
job.
You're an editor. This is your job to do these kind of things. You know?
I do want to take a moment to agree
you know?
with Aaron and say that the Carl April meme was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Because like I've watched,
what I mean.
yeah, I've watched so much Aqua Teen, I can hear his voice without like just like instantly, right? So like I read the entire thing.
Yeah,
I'm a reporter. You know, I read it immediately in his voice, like the whole meme, and just
one
died.
of you turtles is gonna pay for this. Yeah,
I need some more clips of that for my show because Carl is
so
the best. Carl, I've always likened Carl is basically a right-wing movie Bob.
Right. There you go.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, so one thing that we wanted to do though,
let's
with this project. Well, one thing we wanted to do with this project though was a lot of these DM groups, you know, they kind of get insular, they get a little bit like snipey at other people and stuff like that.
Very back.
And this group was meant to be that when it started out, but we had another DM group that's made some pretty positive impact on this side of the community, just from people kind of getting together, and Luke was part of that. And so Luke's like, well, why don't I take that and why don't we just specifically do one project and bring something into the world, but do something creative, you know, with all this energy, creative energy we have. And this is the result of it. And I'm hoping that this is something that might be a trendsetter.
Shout out to Luke, by the way, because he put this. I mean, I'm going to say he put it together. We all put it together. We all absolutely carried our own weight, which was the point right from the start. You know, as he was putting it together, he said, you have to go out and do the work. You have to either draw it yourself, find the artist, do whatever. You've got to get it done. But then if you do, I'll put this together for you guys and I'll do this. But the shout out to him because he was doing this while he was launching Fund My Comic, which is nuts because that was all on his plate. And the whole time that he's doing that, he's putting together this awesome collection. So, I mean, that's tremendous.
Yeah, we were supposed to be the pilot campaign on Fund My Comic if it initially launched when it was supposed to.
Yes.
I would say that I was impressed to see how fast they put the gas on Fund My Comic and how well it actually landed. You know, that was great to see.
Yeah, he's knocking it out of the park.
Like it does with everything.
Don't mind me. I'm pushing the wrong button here. I have to have my microphone like right in front of my keyboard, so it makes typing stuff a little awkward.
It's really comfortable.
No problem.
I agree with Andrew Campbell. Let's hate more, create. And I think it's okay hating. But the mainstream is our true competition, and they are incompetent at their job. So they may have more of a stretch, more of a network, and more of a budget. But so the Iron Age is that we are stronger for the fires that we forge our creations in, and we. Judging from the vintage, I can kind of tell from all of us we come from harder times. We're made of sterner stuff. We're talking about our competition are people who cannot get through their lives without therapists. And
well, see,
boy, you notice a lot of therapy stuff that gets put in a lot of modern entertainment.
Yes,
am I alone? I just want to say, really, what they have, they don't really have better stories or anything like that, or even better artists necessarily. It's more, or creators or whatever. It's more, they have more marketing budget. That's it. If I had $1 million just to put straight into marketing this across, all these different continents or whatever, like Disney, just $1 million. Of course, I would be much more successful than I am right now. As successful as in I would sell more units. Now, the fact that I don't have that kind of marketing, if they didn't have that kind of marketing, they wouldn't probably be where we are right now. So there's I think that the competition, I don't know if it's really a competition, past that. I just need to get in more people's eyes. If they could see what indie people are doing. And that's why I love our shows. Like, you know.
Well, it's like this right here. This is right here. The other day I did a review on this. Fatal.
Yeah.
It's by Cass Sweet. And I mean, while I didn't give it 5 carats, I gave it 3. But at the same time, this is far better than anything that's on the shelves right now from any mainstream comic company out there right now. And the reason why is because this was made out of a attempt to create something rather than attempt to for some other goal, And what you're saying right now is you're seeing people that are using comics as a vehicle and not the car. And
what's up, Richard?
To Richard from Iron Age Media, thank you for joining. He was my guest yesterday, talking about the glory that is Anvil magazine.
Oh, dude!
This, folks, if you are looking from other channels, look up Anvil magazine. This in the campaign for issue 2 just went up on Fund My Comic. You can look in the Signal Boost playlist on my channel. This is indie stories, indie comics, ads for other indie authors. Beautiful work, beautiful comic.
I know one of the writers in the second one, by the way. He's very close to me right now.
Yeah. Actually, I have a story in issue 2 of Anvil magazine, so I'm excited. It's going to be amazing. So fun.
You're welcome, Richard. I will always shill and I will always help promote. I will always interrupt other authors to shill for other authors that aren't even related to what we're talking about. But let's go ahead and show the folks. We've been here for a little bit. We've been chit-chatting and bullshitting and all that nonsense. Let's go ahead and bring up the comic itself. We're going to, and of course, hold up. No, wait.
I like that number 61. That looks great.
Right? Yeah. Got 2 more backers.
That looks way better than mine does.
let's refresh this and see where we're at and see if anything's changed.
Nice. I like it.
There we go. About the same. So maybe that'll change. But you guys got a trailer. We're going to do the trailer first, and then we'll talk about the campaign a little bit.
Groovy.
Hang on.
Oh, thank you, Richard.
This is the Out of Obscurity anthology trailer over at Luke Stone Studios.
Get ready for an exhilarating journey into the boundless world of imagination. Welcome, comic book enthusiasts, to the extraordinary realm of Out of Obscurity. This groundbreaking anthology, published by Arrow Comics, unveils a legion of aspiring creators, each eager to leave their mark on the industry. Prepare to be captivated as they breathe new life into obscure public domain characters, creating their own unique tales within the pages of this awe-inspiring collection. Out of Obscurity is a testament to the unwavering passion and creative prowess of these emerging talents. They have meticulously resurrected forgotten heroes and heroines, spinning intricate yarns that span the ages. Brace yourself for action-packed battles, mind-bending mysteries, and heartwarming triumphs that will transport you to uncharted territories of excitement. By supporting our Fund My Comic campaign, you become an essential part of this historic endeavor. Together, we can catapult these aspiring creators towards their dreams of comic book glory. Join us on this epic odyssey and witness the birth of new legends. Your generous contributions will not only help us bring Out of Obscurity to life, but also grant you access to exclusive rewards, including remarkable artwork, signed copies, and behind-the-scene glimpses. Embrace the spirit of adventure, for within these pages, untold wonders await. Together, let us ignite the spark of greatness within these visionary talents and redefine the landscape of the comic book universe. Be a part of history and make Out of Obscurity a reality.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Randy, for playing. I'm sorry. What's the name of the monkey? Thank you, Monkey.
That's Spank the Monkey.
Spank the Monkey.
For hosting that. That was great.
Spank the Monkey, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about this that a lot of people might not know right off the bat is that these are all public domain characters. As everyone knows, public domains means pretty much anybody can kind of take them and use them. Andrew Campbell has a question about that. How does copyright work with public domain characters?
Well, the reason why what public domain means is that the exclusivity of the IP has run out, and so now it basically makes them anybody's character that wants to write. Okay, such as anybody can write a Sherlock Holmes story, or anybody can write you know Tarzan story or anything like that, because they're in the public domain now. And now, if a company like picks up the public domain and then puts a copyright on it, then they only copyright their version of it. Like Winnie the Pooh right now is open to everybody, except for you cannot have the Disney specific attributes to that Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
But you can use the whole Winnie the Pooh universe, and a lot of people have. We actually had an entry called Pooh Thulu, where somebody combined Winnie the Pooh with the Cthulhu mythos. It's actually that's actually James Rock, and it's on the Broken Compass Comics. It's going to be the end of one of their books. But anyway, I've seen it. It's pretty incredible. But basically, what that just means that these characters are available to anybody. That's how you can make the Winnie the Pooh movie, Blood and Honey, or whatever. I remember that.
That's how we got Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter from Nicholas Mueller.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ravens Lodge.
Right.
Nicholas, Nicholas, good dude. I'm sorry,
Great dude.
I got to tell you, as somebody, I really do not like when these childhood characters become public domain, and the first thing they do is a low budget shit horror movies.
I know.
I really don't like it. It's like what is the fucking disconnect here?
Right.
But when it comes to yes, thank you, Time Prophet. And it was an awful movie. You could tell it was going to be an awful movie.
Are you salty? Still salty over Banana Splits?
That was equally stupid. Yeah, no, I really don't understand the proclivities for that, and I honestly don't like it. I think it's a very cheap tactic. At least Nicholas Mueller did something kind of original with Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter. But to me, when it comes to when something goes into the public domain, either you tell kind of a story in that vein with that character, or you do something truly original with it. Instead of think about when the Jungle Book was in public domain. What did Disney had the rights to it? What did they do? They had the Jungle Book. You can't tell any more. You can't tell any more stories about the Jungle Book. You just telling the same story over and over again. They made Tailspin though with the characters, and that was interesting. That was unique. That was fun. I'd like to see more of that.
They also made Robin Hood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which Robin Hood's such an old story. I don't even think there is a public domain for that. So,
well, I mean, they did it with the Jungle Book characters. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I remember that Tailspin.
Famously robbed from the government and gave back to the people taxed.
There you go.
Which is the actual version of the story that we kind of lie about, but that's okay.
There you go. Well, one of the there was a couple of our stories that kind of gave Luke a little bit of some restless nights that he thought that we wouldn't be able to use. One of them was mine, because mine is actually the first iteration of Ghost Rider. And
I noticed that's an interesting choice. How did that work? Because Ghost Rider, most people think Ghost Rider, they think the flaming skull and the motorcycle from Marvel Comics. Right.
Well,
so how did that work?
Okay, Ghost Rider, it is an original incarnation, was part of a Western comic series called Tim Holt. Tim Holt was a Western star
after Korak, after that first one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, and basically. The creator on Tim Holt had a character called Calico Kid who was not selling, was not very popular, and so he goes and says, "I've got an idea for a supernatural Western comic," and well, you can't do supernatural Western because the Comic Codes Authority. He's like, "Well, I found a way around that," and so he created a supernatural Western with this guy who it was kind of like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing, where the supernatural threat turned out to always be, Farmer John, with a mask on or whatever. But the thing about it is he used ledger domain to seem supernatural, and then his name was Rex Fury, and he was like a marshal by day, and he was the Ghost Rider at night, and this comic was so popular that it had covers by an up and coming young artist named Frank Frazetta. Sound familiar? Anybody know that guy?
Little bit, just a little bit.
Okay. The first jobs that he had in the industry were on Ghost Rider comic. So what happened was All American Comics, which owned the rights to Ghost Rider, were bought out. No, actually, they didn't buy out. They kind of like went defunct. They went out of business, and this IP just sat there. And the guy who wrote on it went to Marvel, and he told Marvel, "Oh, there's this great IP just sitting over there." And so Marvel grabbed the IP. At least they grabbed the Ghost Rider part of it, pulled it over to Marvel, took another thing that they called Hell Rider, and created Ghost Rider. Okay. Now the ghostly cowboy they changed into Phantom Rider. Okay, so they got 2 IPs for the price of 1, but they completely abandoned the Rex Fury character. They completely abandoned his the ledger domain and the whole Marshall thing and becoming this at night. And so what I did was that's in the public domain, so that's what I took. So this is called Ghost Story, The Last Ride of Rex Fury.
Nice.
And so that's the way we got around it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's and there's always been a lot of legal trickery in and around comics, and just look at the whole deal with Shazam and Captain Marvel names.
Exactly.
That is a whole shebang that is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous rabbit hole to go down. No pun intended.
I like rabbit holes.
So that one's your story, Aaron. Which one is yours?
I have the Tower Time Forgot. It's the black and white one. It might be the only black and white one. I'm not sure, but
that looks great.
I think the Puritan one is black and white.
Okay, yeah, Solomon Kane. So this one is supposed to be supposed to feel more like a classic black and white horror movie, or like Amazing Tales kind of story, and it's set 400 years in the future, and it's based on a comic that is actually it's from the 40s, and it's about this couple who the main guy. It's so funny because it's all misogynist, where like the guy's like, he's into engineering, he's like, oh, we have to go check out this castle out in Transylvania where there's this crazy invention that we have to check out, or whatever he says. And so like they fly out there and they check out this castle, and there's this this evil genius inventor alchemist that they encounter, like like his ghost or his reincarnation or whatever. And so I took that story and I turned it into 400 years in the future, where they are dealing with a technovirus and mutants, and a very dystopian kind of future. And so this couple go into this tower to try to find this genius, this evil genius who potentially started all of this trouble, to try to cure her, because the girl of the couple is is sick with this virus. And so they're on their the dude's like, I gotta help my girl, this kind of stuff. So and that's kind of the retelling that I chose.
I apologize, I can't make this much bigger, everyone. StreamYard does not work well with this is about the best I can do. I could do like this. I don't know.
Sure.
If that's better. The only way to kind of really get pages in here that look up real close is to save them on my computer as a PDF file. And last time I tried that, it's too many steps. It's ridiculous. So this is kind of the best I can do with this. So
Yeah, go to Fund My Comic and check it out. You'll see him. Oh, I mean, come on, dude!
Great
it's
idea.
gorgeous. Yeah, like you have. Okay, if you know who Jose Garcia is and you like his work, you haven't seen him do like a techno style before. It just, just the black and white, and it's very unique. It's awesome. What's up, Eric?
Good to see you, Eric. Miss RH Snow, I agree with this. Frazetta is amazing. He's a master of the female form. Yeah,
of the female form. Yes.
All right, Mr. Jared.
Yes.
Which story is yours?
I am Super Guy. I wrote Super Guy or Super Old Guy or whatever you want to call it. And after these two extremely exciting tales, I'm bringing you a story about going and getting groceries when you're old.
I feel seen.
You feel seen? That's right. That's right, Queen. I'm right.
Finally, representation for me.
Yeah.
Right. So Super Guy is interesting in that he is kind of the leftovers. He was part of a different publishing company, one of the many publishing companies that DC purchased. It was Charlton Press, excuse me, and DC bought them in the 60s, and they bought he was only in one comic. He was created by Richard Green, and when DC bought their lineup,
wait, I figured something out. Look at that.
Cool.
Yeah,
there you go. Just in time to see that beautiful
wonders never
cease.
Yeah. Look at that bulge.
Every once in a while, the blind squirrel finds a net.
So DC buys Charlton Press, and they bought all the characters that was in the issue that Super Guy was in, except for Super Guy. And the reason was because they were like, well, he's basically Superman, and we already have Superman, so we don't really need Super Guy. And they just left him there, and he fell into public domain. And so his comic came out in 1967, and he's got a really basic, really a powerful power set. He's super strong, nigh invincible. He can fly. He's pretty close to Superman. So I figured, okay, it's 67. Let's assume that he's maybe in his 30s, 20s, something like that. And instead of doing like where you've got like a sliding timeline like Marvel or something, let's just say that he's now 85. So like he's 85 years old, but he's still a superhero. He still dresses in his super suit, but he's just being old. And he's going to the grocery store on Senior Citizen Discount Day, and it happens to be robbed. And so he saves the day by accident the entire time because like he's just trying to shop, and there's a pallet in the way, and he pushes the pallet, knocks somebody out, he throws a can of beans by accident, that kind of stuff. So it's very much like Bunny said earlier. It's kind of like a combination of the mundane comedy of One Punch Man with something like The Tick, because he's in a super suit, everyone else is not, kind of like The Tick. And it kind of one of my favorite shorts from the 10 years of amazing MCU that we had was a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's Hammer with Agent Coulson, and he's at a Quickie Mart refueling his car, and it gets robbed, and he looks like Agent Coulson, so like of course the robber doesn't take him seriously, and so I drew inspiration from all those different things to bring this incredibly lighthearted, very fun story about Super Guy. And his name is Charles Green, in honor of Charlton Press and Richard Green as creator.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and forgot something.
Now, does he?
You mentioned the
give,
tick.
like,
I need
body aches. Does he
Yeah.
get like aches and pains, or is it beyond that?
Oh well, there's so much. I hope that people really love this story
Because
because
that
there's so
stuff
much
started like in my 40s. So if he's
Oh,
80,
I know, brother. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, the next thing is Super Old Guy, the physical.
Well, see, I want to do.
There you go.
Well, I'm not kidding. I will do this if this catches on and people love it. I will do Super Guy Returns, and it's just about him returning product to the grocery store. So that will be a thing if this catches on. There's so many things I would love to do with Super Guy if people take a shine to us. I really hope
it's
that
on my
people love it.
receipt. Look, no, it's right here.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't tell you what my story was. The story basically,
Hang on.
His,
Let me switch over here.
Mhm.
There we go.
Okay.
That
Oh
looks
wow,
good.
there you go.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Well, the story is basically he's been Ghost Rider a while, and suddenly somebody figures out his identity and just like burns his whole world down, and demands that he kind of like come out as being Rex Fury, and so tries to force him to do it by taking a town hostage, and so he shows up after this is right after they killed his friend, his only friend that he had left, and so he shows up. He's already vengeance is already going to happen. I mean, he's ready to go, and what happens next is the story, and I was like, what happens if the Rex Fury guys could add supernatural elements? Yeah, that was the thought that I had. Because they weren't allowed to explore the supernatural, they had to kind of make everything a Scooby Doo thing, and so I was like, I like the idea of adding the supernatural back into the story. So I hope people enjoy it.
I'm gonna go back to Aaron because I didn't get a good look at this, and you really
nice.
have to get closer
Yeah.
to really.
Yeah, you really got to see it.
I'm gonna make this full screen so we can get in there because Jose Garcia's art is phenomenal, and that's your artist for what was
Immortal
Immortal
Rising.
Rising.
it? Immortal Rising, yeah. And this is phenomenal artwork.
That was the
It
first thing he drew, and he did it in less than a week.
Yes.
Some people just got that talent, and it makes me a little bit jealous. There's a world out there in which I'm a shitty writer, but a really good artist.
Well, we had talked
somewhere in the
about
multiverse.
We talked about it real briefly, and I don't know. We've worked together, even though like I'm just now kind of starting out. We've worked together for a few years now, and just kind of back and forth or whatever. And he was excited. I was like, look. Nobody's really seen you do techno kind of stuff. I want to see it. I think everybody who likes your work is going to want to see it. And he was like, oh, that's perfect because, I can reference, is some sci-fi artist that he mentioned.
H.R. Geiger.
It wasn't that. It was something. It was just like something real simple, like Brad Smith or something. But and it was so I didn't recognize it, but he knew what he was talking about, and when he delivered, I was like, holy crap, the blacks and the grays, it's all there. It's gorgeous to look at.
Breaking news: we have a 20th backer. We are up to 743 now.
Nice,
sweet. Let's go.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you to our 20th backer, whoever that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's probably RH Snow. She said she was going to back it.
Oh,
awesome.
Right on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right there. Awesome.
Thank you.
Woo!
Fantastic.
The other stories that are in there, Bronze Terror is like the first one. That's the one Agent Zero has done.
Let me go find that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay.
I think it's the next one down.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled all
There it
these
is.
up. There we go.
That's the one. This one, he's actually put in his comic universe. You will see this in his comics going on down the road.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
He liked the character so much. He liked the design of it, and he thought, "Hey, this fits in my universe." So,
Gotcha.
but
Thank you so much.
But this one's about a man who is an attorney, and his father passes away, and he gets a gift that he doesn't know what to do with, and he gets in the middle of a train being hijacked, and the gift starts talking to him, and what ensues is the story. But it's called the Bronze Terror. But yeah, that's actually a character that's going to be in his universe now. But it started life as a public domain character.
That's Justin's, right? Agent Zero.
That's right.
Yeah, that's Justin
Justin
Sweet.
K.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
That is nice. I like tomahawks too. I got a thing for one-handed axes. There's a lot of them in my book, The Black Crown, especially once you get to the orcs. Most of the orcs got like a big one-handed axe, which to a human is more like a big two-handed axe.
Oh right.
This is
I'm gonna
this
hold
artist,
on real
this artist
quick,
is actually doing like a art for the book for buy-in art for the campaign. So if you like his art, you can actually buy an original work from him.
Nice.
I'm gonna stop the shilling for just a moment to I said this earlier that I'll stop shilling to shill someone else. I'll show a little love for Miss Arch Snow. She's the author of Transmutation Texas, the Watcher of the Dam series. She writes what is it? It's a lot of it's post-apocalyptic cyber sci-fi fantasy western.
Mm-hmm.
She got a whole bunch of these.
Cool.
And you know, she shows love to other independent creators. Y'all show her a little love. And best of all, she does her own art.
I need to get on that one.
There's a little bit of it right there.
Oh, nice.
And where can we back her, and where can we support her work?
Well, I will find her links and I will share them in the chat. I don't have any of my mods here at the moment. Actually, I should probably make a few more mods on my channel.
He's letting us down.
What are mods?
Well, he's a big time.
What's chat?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a chat. So there you go.
I thought mods means wait a minute. I
All right, Coop. I'll let you go back to it, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Kevin McDougall and his son worked on this project together. Right? If you like that art, you can get original piece for them. What's the next one down?
I got this out of order. I'll bring up the one that's inspired by Solomon Kane next.
Okay. All right. This is Maddie Fowler. Maddie Fowler came on about the same time that Aaron did. We had had another meltdown in the group. The guy left, took his project with him, took his toys and went home. And most of the projects were actually, he had weaseled his way into several projects. So it kind of caused a lot of upheaval. But then Luke's like, hey, why don't I just see if we can find some more people? And, Brian Christgau was one guy he contacted, Six Gun Gorilla, because Six Gun Gorilla is actually a public domain character, and most people don't know that. But then he contacted Maddie Fowler, and Maddie Fowler always wanted to do a Solomon Kane story. And Solomon Kane's not quite into public domain yet, but the way they got around that was they called this guy the Puritan. But basically it's a revenge tale, and it's got a brand new artist that's brand new to the community, and as you can see, very stylized, very black and white.
Yeah.
And it's stories. Knowing Maddie, the story is top notch, and it's going to be pretty intense. He doesn't write anything that's not intense. He did a comic about a space station strip club, and he made it intense. Okay, so that tells you what.
That should have been the second act of the Last Jedi. Instead of going to the gambling casino, it should have been that.
Yep, space station. Space station strip club. But
that may have hit it slightly less if that were the case.
Right. But yeah, that's going to be a really good one. We're looking forward to that one. I think that one's slightly longer than some of the other ones. But it's really cool. It's really kind of stylized, very noirish. Yeah. If you put Solomon Kane in a noir story, this would be that.
Yeah. Something Razorfist might like, right?
Oh yeah, Razorfist will dig this one.
I know you watch the channel, so Mr. Razorfist.
Yeah.
Buy our book and come on my show. So there you go.
There you go. And by the way, I do a series called Port versus Noir. So you can come on my show too. Anyway. Quick. Yeah. Anyway, well, Aaron did it. Aaron
I opened that box, didn't I?
There's like a couple more stories we haven't talked about yet. Korek, son of Tarzan. This is Hojo. This is one of the Hojo. Korek it's just basically there's like an inevitability to the Tarzan mythos that eventually society is going to encroach upon the wilderness. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, and what happens if the last man standing? What happens to that guy? It's just the story about it.
Nice.
Kind of a
See, originally I thought it was about the guy who spreads all those little seedlings and everything around the Legend of Zelda, but it's not about that at all. That's very wrong.
Korok? No.
Yeah,
that's definitely
not
wrong.
right.
Definitely wrong there. Yeah. Anyway, probably the best strong foot I've seen in a while.
Bang.
very, very good foot. Very good foot. Liefeld did not draw this comic, just so you know.
Doggone it! I wish I had that Pie May clip for moments just like this. From here, you have an excellent view of my foot.
Exactly.
I love that clip.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
but Luke wound up having to color this one, and they really settled on a great palette for it, and it's just going to be a really great story. Got a gut punch of an ending, but it's really good. I'm very impressed. It's going to be impress a lot of people. Like he doesn't impress a lot of people already.
CRH. No, thanks for showing up.
CRH.
Thank you for backing.
Yes,
appreciate
I bought your book.
There you go.
Thank you very much, everyone. Go by RH Snows, Watcher of the Dam, Transmutation, Texas.
birthday party. Ooh.
There you go.
Links are in the chat.
All right.
Crushing.
The only other one I think is the Clock Strikes. I think it's the only one that we haven't talked about.
That's RJ's, right?
RJ's,
Yeah.
So talk about up and coming people in the indie scene, like RJ, Critical Blast. He's doing his own story. That's awesome.
He has written prose novels. He's actually written in the Destroyer series.
Yes,
and
the Destroyer, Remo Williams.
Yeah, he's actually written some books. This will be his first comic book, though. He's never written a comic book before, and this was his chance to get a chance to do that.
Hang on, if I'm getting it.
No problem.
No pressure from me.
No.
I don't have like a timer I'm going to start or anything.
So you
There we
said
go.
Tim Holt. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You said Tim Holt, right? That's like some cowboy actor from the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
So I was just out. I took my family on vacation to South Dakota or through there on our way out west to the ocean or whatever. And I stopped in this place called 1880 Town, and it's this little preserved pioneer kind of town where they bring in old buildings and shit. And excuse my language. And they had a round barn, and in that round barn they had I think it was in the round barn. Anyways, they had pictures from these rodeos and these old cowboy movies from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Yeah, and they had the rodeo stuff from like the early 1900s and stuff like that. It was just amazing, old ad artwork. And also Tim Holt, and that's why I know that name. That's so crazy. That that's cool.
He was like the John Wayne for a red hot minute, and then a certain 6'6" broad-shouldered man named Marion came along. And
actual
people
John
forgot
Wayne.
all about him.
This is Critical Blast story, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually in a very early on pulp character. This is pretty much the character that started a lot of the tropes that we knew from like a rich man got involved or wanted justice for people on the street, put his finances where his mouth was, became a vigilante. A lot of those tropes there came from A Clock Strikes. There's really one of the earliest examples of that particular trope. And so RJ wanted to revive that character and kind of bring him to modern age. This story is about what happened. The Clock Strikes. The Clock is his name. The name of the comic's always The Clock Strikes, but he basically had like a very simple costume, which, by the way, his costumes later, Will Eisner took that costume and put the Spirit in it.
Hmm.
So he's got direct ties to the Spirit and Will Eisner. But basically, he had this simple costume. And it was easily, and suddenly these criminals start imitating his costume and creating crime or causing crimes all over the city.
Yeah.
And so, how does he fight crime if all the criminals look like him? And
Interesting.
So that's the story premise right there.
That is interesting. That
cool. Is a very interesting concept. I always like stories where you take an interesting, where it's built on a very interesting idea. For as much as I love classic stories, classic heroism, an interesting take on a well-worn topic or trope is something that's very prevalent in my own book as well. So, I always like to see something nice, kind of, because this is what catches my interest.
Yeah,
the most is an interesting new take.
Well, what are the if you start out with a really clever what if, you're halfway home.
Yeah,
like like community service. Mine is what if Captain America gets retired and comes out of retirement? This is kind of like old man Captain America in a way. So that was my what if, and I bet the
to kind of bring it back to what we were talking about earlier too. I think that there's something that stands out in all of these, which is that they're all grounded in something real. There's something that's really gritty and truthful and honest in all of them, even in the comedy of Super Guy, about the how something as mundane as going to get groceries can become crazy and something that's real life that you do, and suddenly it's on its head. When you look at the Tower Time Forgot, it's about two people who are struggling against inevitability, a sickness, a virus, and that's real. When you look at Ghost Rider, it's loss, and how do you deal with something like that? And that's real, and like you can connect to that, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We have people who haven't been through these things, who have no life experience. So I think that all of the stories that you look at here, from top to bottom, I think that they all have something that's grounded in the experience of all of us as authors, that we all lived through and actually been through some stuff, and we put that and pour that into our work. And I think that shows in the scripts, and I think that's what's missing from modern comics.
Yeah. I earned this white, damn it.
There you go. There you go.
I've got a little bit of it myself, Ed.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to dye mine, but
Yeah, wear it like a badge.
I thought it was just part of the bunny gimmick.
Boy, hey, time makes ruin of us all, so
it does. It does. But yeah, this we're very proud of this. Arrow Comics is going to publish it. If you know anything about Arrow Comics, this is a publishing company that dates all the way back to the wild and woolly days of the 80s. Randy Zimmerman's been in the business a long time, and he's about to make a really big push into becoming a mainstream, at least adjacent publisher. Again, he's got some incredible IPs lined up, and
he's a good dude too.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and he's he pulled this. He took this on early on. He saw some of the script, some of the art, and said, "Yeah, we're gonna slap Arrow on this one," and so because the Hybrids was already there. Luke had Hybrids there, and
that's cool.
Agent Zero has Chrome Dog there, and so it just seemed a natural home for it, and he embraced it, and that's why it's with Arrow Comics.
I say I never heard of Arrow Comics before. I learn a whole lot of new stuff when I hang out with you guys, because
there you go.
You guys have been doing this for quite some time, and I'm just still got one foot in the indie comics world, and eager to learn, because that when I was a hobby writer, and I'm going to bring this in for the time being so we can chit chat for a little bit. When I was a hobby writer in the 90s, 2000s, there were times when I thought it would be really cool to write comics, and I had no idea how to do it, how to go about doing it, how to get into that world. And there was a Image. I don't remember if it was Image Comics or what it was. It was a contest I did enter one time to, for ideas for different. Like you submit your script, and whoever won the contest got a comic made. I forgot which. This is way back in like the early 2000s, and I cranked out a couple of scripts that were probably shit. Looking back, and it was very weird to go from writing novel style to comic style. It was like, I got to imagine it's like a guitar player being set in front of a piano and saying, okay, play this. You've got music. Technically, you've got musical talent. It's just trained on a different instrument. And that's kind of how
I call it trying to run kerosene in the gasoline engine. I mean, the engine will run on kerosene, but it will run well, so that's what it feels like,
Well, to kind of touch on like tabletop games and stuff like that, when you're doing a scene or a page or whatever, you really have to think about action economy, right? Like there's only so much that can fit on the page for your artist, and only so much that needs to be said, because the reader will fill in gaps between panels, kind of stuff. So it really is like the easier you can get the essence of a scene, like the more clear and concise you can get it, the better it comes out.
Well, writing a novel's like curling, but writing a comic is like juggling.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
No, it is very true though, because I've been doing a lot of editing on my solo project while waiting for this campaign to launch, and like you were saying, Aaron, it was like I had the original version, the first draft, where I've got a lot of dialogue, and then we get some layouts, we get some panels, we've got my letterer where he's plugging stuff in, and I'm like, we're covering up a lot of art here. How can we trim that down? So we trim it down, and now we've got what's closer to what's going to be the final product. Where we're trying to be as concise as we can. Mm-hmm. We're still getting the message across, but we're letting the art be more on display, which you have to do for a comic.
Yep. And it's funny with like my Immortal Rising stuff. I wanted to have it feel as like a fantasy novel where they're like the narrator is kind of its own character. So, and to give kind of exposition and feeling and setting and stuff like that. But you can't do that all the time. I specifically wanted to do that. And like a story I'm working on right now, I'm not doing any of that, so everything has got to go, it's a fire sale. Everything's got to go. And only the bare bones can remain. So, yeah.
And
it's like there's this one panel in my book where I'm trying to explain that my character had to basically retire forcefully, and for 50 years he was told he couldn't be a hero, and so I had my artist just knock this out of the park. But there's a panel where he's walking by these kids breaking out this front window and looting a place, and he's sitting there and he's kind of like, you see anger, you see his the impotence of it, and he's walking away and he's just looking down and kind of like shame and anger and like, this, I'm not supposed to be letting this happen. And basically I just described the panel, but the panel describes itself. That image is there. And so I communicated that paragraph I just said to you about what this is supposed to represent.
Yeah.
And you see it right there visually. And that's the power of comics.
And scenes have rhythm as well. So,
yeah.
But as a writer, I mean, of anything, you probably already know that. But
yeah. So writing a 7-page comic was very, very for
man.
Obscurity.
7. Yeah, that was.
I imagine so. And I gotta imagine, it's. Let me ask you this: have any of you guys ever written like, not so much novels, but like more traditional, like short stories, novel style?
Like prose. Sure.
Yeah, prose.
Yeah, I've written books.
I've written short stories, but I haven't actually done a novel. No.
I think Jared's frozen.
Uh-oh. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, we're moving.
He's free from this stasis.
Hang on. All right,
you are pixelated. low res Jared.
But I have
Am I
written
back?
a lot of different stuff, a lot of essays.
Yeah, you went
I've
8-bit.
written songs,
Nice.
poetry, all that stuff. But comics was a new challenge for sure, and I think I'm having the most fun with it because it's just kind of like I don't know, the better that you get at it, the better the image looks too. You know.
Yeah. The better you get at communicating to the artist, and the more
What
artists
is there? Yeah.
connects with you,
Yes.
the
Thank
more
you.
what's
Yep.
in your head gets onto the page.
I've written a lot, but all of the writing that I've all the fiction writing, I've done a lot of nonfiction writing because I used to do video game reviews for a really long time. For I guess I probably wrote on and off for about a decade for a now defunct Xbox review website. It was based in the UK, so I was I would do reviews for stuff where they got they would have contacts in the United States and they would send discs or review codes that could only work on a US stuff like to me. And that was an interesting experience. That's for a different live stream, but I've had two different developers email me, one very angrily and one less angrily.
Going a little robot on us there, buddy.
But all the sorry about that. Am I still here? Or am I still
You're there.
You're here. You're there, but you're kind of pixelating in and out of the time stream.
Yeah. Mostly there.
Mostly here.
That's interesting. I thought about game review thing at one time because it sounds like it'd be a fun job, right? And then I'm actually kind of grateful that Gamergate happened because it kind of exposed that the game reviewing industry is a festering boil, and that the people that are there are not actually gamers. That was the assumption that I'd always made when I was reading articles for a long time and reviews, and kind of trusting that, hey, these are at least people that play games regularly, know what they're talking about, and then come to find out, no, some of them are actually there because of nepotism and narcissism, and don't actually know what they're doing. And I think it's kind of come to light like these days. Like you look back on the X Play, which I used to love watching, and it really didn't seem like they liked doing it either.
No.
So,
well, the part about it, if I can, let me know if I'm cutting out. But the part about it that I hated was that it becomes a job, and so like if you like playing games, as soon as you are reviewing them, it's no longer fun. It's no longer like you're doing this because you want to play the game. You're doing it because you're now obligated to review the game and you review it objectively and provide like a scoring system based on wherever you're writing it for. And that takes all the fun out of it because like you're just not,
your hobby becomes a job, and sometimes
it's work. Yeah, it's no longer your hobby. Yeah,
I would be remiss if I did not say hello to my good friend Animane. Look at all this sexy.
Shout out to Animane.
Bold creativity, a fellow
a little bit risky over there.
Animane,
bifocal creativity. I love it.
Animane, you've got an open.
How did you know I have bifocals?
You're welcome to come on, Animane, if you want to and talk comics because. Animane's got some good stuff in the works, and I can't wait until that campaign goes. And I will shill the shit out of this campaign.
Animane would actually be perfect for the stream. Unironically, he would be because he was actually my editor for Super Guy. He was helping me put this together. And this was so funny. Like I was, my second daughter was being born when we were wrapping up the script. And so like she's, my wife's in the hospital, my daughter is sleeping, and I'm trying to fall asleep in the hospital. I've got like this little laptop and I'm trying to type, like some notes on there going back and forth with Animane and email about the script. So yeah, it was a year ago that my second was born, and we're still working on finalizing everything. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, Animane was a part of it from my side from the beginning.
I got a link for you, buddy, if you want to jump on. I love streaming Animane. He's a cool dude.
He's great.
He's very, very creative.
Seriously, he is. Yes.
Yeah,
he really is.
And he's kind of old school. Like I've always been shocked by like how much me and him, like our brains just kind of click in the same way.
Have you guys seen the shorts he's been doing for like people's characters, like their fighting games characters?
Oh yeah, those are cool. Those are
so freaking cool.
And meanwhile, I'm over here trying to figure out how to put the fucking filters on my shorts. And I'm like, I need to learn how to do shorts just for promo stuff.
Oh, man.
And I'm probably just going to end up having because I like my favorite thing to do when I have spare cash that it doesn't go to my own cover is to throw money at anime. And I'm a member on his stream, and I'm anxious to fund as much of his fucking comic as I can. He's just such a cool dude. And, you know, I can't say enough good things about him. But anyway.
Seconded.
You're still a little pixelated, Jared, but that's okay. We won't hold it against you. We'll just say you're in Minecraft.
Try
mode.
leaving and coming back in. Would that work?
I think it's most.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's
actually fine
internet.
now. You're actually fine now.
Oh, there we go.
I think
yeah,
I think it is my internet. Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes you're high res, and sometimes you're like. Remember when Ryan Kennel, like for a long time, had that one static shot of him that was a meme. That was hilarious. So.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway.
willing to bet that he was saying in the middle of saying an F-bomb. I'm just going to roll the dice and say that's probably what was going on.
No, don't do that. We rolled a 3.
Yeah. That there's a 3 right there. It's affecting Jared's internet.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Damn it.
The curse of the dice. Now I rolled a 1 and I was fine. So you know.
That's right. You did roll a 1. I forgot about
I
that.
rolled a 1, man.
Yeah.
You retired the dice. It was so bad.
Oh,
dice
Lord.
jail. Straight to dice jail.
I forgot which one that was. Was it the Santa one?
That was the blue one.
It was a blue one.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
T-Buns remembers. He's like, no, that's a blue one.
I remember.
Let's see how.
Well,
it
you
now.
roll a 1. Yeah. Just gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
That's an 11. 2 1s technically.
Yeah. There you go. The dice hates me. It hates me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, for the sake of my channel, folks on my channel who do not know you guys a little more intimately, why don't you guys kind of do some lore drop into how you guys got into independent comics and what kind of made you want to do that? What was the impetus for this, the start of being Iron Age and independent creators?
Well, my journey began with the children's Bible, and hero fiction, learning through children's Bible, and I raised up with the Incredible Hulk, show was my favorite for a while. I was really young, but most of that got me into the whole mindset of superheroes, and so when I got into comics, I wanted the true blue superhero, flawed, but genuine character, became kind of like what I hit right in the middle of the Claremont era, when the X-Men office was probably at the pinnacle, with Louise Simonson and Nando Cinti riding shotgun with Claremont, the Mutant Massacre and the Inferno, and I was hitting right when things were pretty much about as good as they ever got, and so that's what impressed upon me. And so when I saw how bad comics were getting, and I saw Captain America say "Hail Hydra," I realized that if somebody doesn't put that back into culture, it's then the future generations aren't going to know just how awesome that was. And so I part of that became me wanting to write a ensemble book with characters like the ones I grew up with, the ones that were flawed, heroic, had challenges but overcame them, and so out of that, when I hit the shutdown and had time actually to write, I created a community service universe, and that's pretty much how I got to where I am now.
Cool, man. What about you, Jared?
Well, so it's really weird because I actually had given up on the idea of writing comics. I wanted to write this particular one that I'm working on is my solo project. I've been wanting to write it for like 15 years, and I started the idea back before indie comics really had the ability right now, like it is right now, where you can kind of put together your own thing. You can network with people online. Like the idea that I had for this was around before there was like a Twitter to network with people, right? So like I didn't have the faintest clue on how to start going about finding an artist, finding all, because I can't draw. I have dumb fingers. So this idea was kind of put back in the freezer. I kind of left it there. So a mutual acquaintance of ours send out a casting call of sorts, or a writer's call, and he was asking for people to write his universe. I responded to it, and he really liked the script treatment that I put together for him, and I was really excited to write this, and because I hadn't been writing in a few years, because all of my time had been focused on my day job career and everything. So I started writing for this individual, and I started talking to him, and I was like, okay, so what's the plan? I was asking questions that I thought were like really basic, like, what's your distribution plan? How are you going to distribute it? Are you going to do digital? What's your digital platform like? Who's you going to do your physical? How are you going to do all these questions? Every single thing I asked him, he was like, I don't know. And so I was like, okay, you clearly have no idea what you're doing. The script that I wrote was never going to be published, and I was like, all right, well, and I was frustrated. So I'm just sitting there stewing in this creative need to write, and I'm like, I have no idea how to get this out of me. And I'm talking to Animane, and I was telling Animane about my idea, and Animane's like, I'd read that. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that sounds great. That's right up my alley. I was like, well, so again, this is about a year ago, and I started putting it together, and one thing led to another. I found an artist. We put the script into panels, and now I've got something that's being colored. And along the way, I've been able to network and meet all these other incredible people, and they've helped me to find artists and colorists, and I ended up on this project, and here we are, which is just, it's crazy. And I love doing it. It's just been tremendously fun.
And I'm pretty sure I found you through Animane, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, actually.
Sorry, my head's itchy here.
That fantastic networking I mentioned once again.
Right. And I've met all of you through different people. I met T-Bunny through the DM group, right? But mostly through Luke Stone. I met you through Animane. I've met Aaron through because of Chris Fox, who I need to have on the show, but I'm waiting for Infinite Tales Volume 2 to launch. Fisk. I'm sorry. I'm bad with names, guys. I
was wondering who that Fox guy was.
I was like, wait a minute, who?
Yes. Chris, I apologize, but he's a friend of the channel, and I want to have him on, and because I still owe a lot of indie comics reviews. I've been working a lot, and I'm probably going to do like a channel update tomorrow on a live stream, or maybe a pre-recorded video, because kind of the focus of the channel's shifted a little bit. This is much more, I think, emotionally and creatively fulfilling to do these live streams, and to you are three people who are from I met from different circles, and breaking those kind of circles to me is a lot more important. I've been trying to signal boost to a lot of fantasy authors that, hey, you can release your next indie novel. You can also have a companion comic book to go with it. And somewhere down the road, you can have a release a indie tabletop RPG to go in your setting. Hit that trifecta of independent projects that are really taking off right now. And it's something I want to do. And I've got plans for a comic myself, but I want to do it at the same time that my second book launches, because it'll be a companion to the book itself. So, the book will sell the comic will sell the book. And now all of a sudden we've got an overlap between authors and comic creators. Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me in my head. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to kind of spread a little awareness, guys, hey, you can
really project right now for Broken Compass that
right. Some people have some
They're
people have
releasing
done that a little
comic
bit.
book with a double album of power metal. They have a power metal album that goes along with their comic book.
See,
Nice.
I don't know anything about music, so like I can't really throw music in as part of it. And you know, musicians are notoriously like they'll, you know, it's.
You mean infamously? You mean infamously?
Yeah, I can't afford to pay a musician. I'm sitting here trying to spin everything in my head, wondering about paying for a comic and a tabletop RPG, and I feel bad I couldn't contribute to Luke's Hybrids tabletop RPG. I kind of wanted to, and then the cover infamously jumped up and kind of froze a lot of my funds. And I'm bummed about that because not only are people dropping good comic projects like this, over on the indie fantasy side, some of my favorite indie fantasy authors are releasing special edition versions of their books, and they're beautiful and they're gorgeous and they're $85. Like, oh, it would look so good. Okay, so like most of them look kind of like this awesome special edition of Lord of the Rings that I have with art on the inside and the sprayed edges. And illustrations on the inside by Tolkien himself, and it comes with a nice little map too. I'm not going to open all this up, but you can see how awesome this is. A Christmas present from my wife. This was $75. It's worth it. It's awesome. It's the coolest book that I own, but I can't buy all those fucking special editions, man. And it kills me because I want this nice, cool library, and I'm just sitting there going.
Well, it's like Judex just dropped, and Judex is like my bag, and I haven't been able to back it yet. It's killing me that I can't. So,
I hear you, man. It's getting that overlap between a lot of these indie communities is something that I've been really wanting to kind of really trying to put myself into it and breaking those kind of circles so that we're not all just, a click forms here, a click forms there, and everybody buys everyone else's stuff. And I think
singing my song, dude. So like you say that you heard of me through Chris Fisk, but like I heard of you around like Iron Age Media and hashtag Iron Age. So I remember trying to hunt you down and trying to talk to you. So and then we ended up in like similar groups because you were going to be on this project, actually, weren't you? You were going to have a story on this one.
I think y'all initially asked me, but like I said, I was in the prime of getting the end of the book, my novel written, and I was in a creative focus. I mean, I was highly streamlined, like every day, add a few more. I was writing like 3,000 to 5,000 words on my phone on my night shifts, and emailing them to myself, copy paste, put it all up there and make sense. It was a hodgepodge, but it was working.
So so what I'm saying is that. With you trying to get into this scene and all that, I'm on the same. If you go to my my YouTube channel, it's Iron Age, it's Comicsgate, it's basically they were called OSR, but apparently I shouldn't use that term because they're gatekeepers who would say that I'm not using it correctly or whatever. So tabletop guys who were against woke stuff, who just wanted to play the game. They didn't want to listen to your theater, composition of your backstory or whatever. And so like those guys, I befriended and all that stuff, and trying to get all those three scenes together to talk to each other. Has been my goal. I was like, look, we're all in a hobby. If 20 years ago or whatever, back in the golden days, right? We all would have met in the same hobby shop. And because all of our stuff overlaps, and if we're
how many fantasy authors
band together?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. How many fantasy authors do you know who are also Dungeons and Dragons players and DMs?
Pretty much all of them.
Almost all the ones. Or at the very least, they play fantasy video games. They watch fantasy TV shows. I just wish fantasy TV didn't suck so much ass right now.
Right.
So much ass.
So my idea.
All the ass.
Look, I want to help promote indie people who are doing these different parts, you know, in the fantasy genre. So because I don't want, you know, who was it? The guy who did Kevin Smith. I don't want Kevin Smith to make another He-Man. So I would rather give my money instead of the Netflix to watch that garbage. You know, let me, you know, buy something over here.
Don't get me started on that.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what we need. We need people like you guys, and I hope that my channel is one day.
Yeah,
large
yeah. Don't
enough
make
where I
Kevin
can
Smith
post
cry.
But yeah, or do. But
Or do. Yeah.
but like I'm like we need that because we need to know that there are people out there who are like-minded, because not only does it help, I think it helps us, you know, uplift our spirit, because like it's nice to know that you're not the only sane person out there. It's nice to know that you're not the only person who wants good storytelling, but it's we have to support one another, you know. And I don't mean don't go just blindly back every single thing ever, just because, you know, whatever. But like, you know, we have to really be willing to take, like you said just now, Aaron, instead of just mindlessly giving your money to Netflix every month after month, that there's got to be a point where you say, nah, I'm done. You take that money, you take it somewhere else, and you give it to R.H. Snow, you give it to our project, you give it to John, you give it to Bunny, you give it to somebody who, to use Eric July's phrase, does not hate you. And the more people we have letting people know that there are people who don't hate you, who just want to tell you stories, the better. So we need people like John. We need people like you, Aaron, doing that.
One thing I think is wrong with them.
20 artists coming up with one project. That's true, but you're still going to get more quality, less corporate in the art. So find what you like and back.
Yes, it's there. It's out there, man.
Well, one thing that bothers me about the modern like ecosystem that we find ourselves on the edge of is that people are just making bank right now by endlessly downing modern stuff, or modern like mainstream stuff. Okay, and, you know, and it's like,
and Herman's books.
Yeah, exactly. But like you know, Sound of Freedom, completely, totally, 100%. You know, independent. This thing came completely from outside the system, and
there's your book, Herman.
Dethroned Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, on the 4th of July weekend. A movie called Sound of Freedom, made by Mexicans with some Americans, about saving kids from, you know, from fate worse than death, and it dethroned. And I didn't see hardly any of these guys these culture vultures. I didn't see hardly any of them mention that. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I know you're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, from what you're doing. But, you know, if we're going to change the culture, then we need the normies to know that what else is out there. And you guys are not telling them what else is out there right now. And it's like there's this desire for everybody in society right now to rebel against everything that's getting shoved down our throats. And Sound of Freedom is a good example of that. Bud Light is a good example of that. Target is a good example of that. And normies are rebelling. They're looking for something to rebel, you know, to give them to where I don't want to buy this stuff anymore. I don't want to buy this stuff for my kids. I don't want to buy this messaging anymore. Give me an alternative. And we have the alternative right here. And the reason why Awesome has got the numbers it does is because that's the only one they know about.
Exactly. Well, they talk about it on, you know, was it Nerdrotic or whatever. How about you guys just go look at some of the indie stuff, like put it out there. You know, all these big shows, they keep complaining about Black Ariel or whatever. It's like, come on, guys. Can we talk about alternatives? Do we always have to grind our gears, or can we talk about solutions? You know, like.
Now, to that, I will say you can't tell somebody what to do with their channel. That was one of the biggest impetuses that I had to create this channel, because initially when I started creating this channel, the goal of my channel was twofold. One, it was to start building a platform and to make myself the face of my brand for my books. And Two, it was to work on the fact that I was a terrible public speaker. If you go back and probably look at my early videos, and I'm still not that great to this day. If you watch my pre-recorded videos, there's a 101 jump cuts because my brain malfunctions. No, I don't use scripts, and I'll tell you because of the two things that I suck at. Talking off the top of my head and reading off scripts. Talking off the top of my head is the one that I suck at the least. But in the time that you can go back and look at my videos in the time, especially since I started live streaming, that I've gone from, I was kind of joining their chorus, and because I do feel there is a place for, criticizing the mainstream. If they do not ever hear negative feedback, they'll think what they're doing is, but they'll think
hear it though.
But if there is no negative feedback, Coop, then they will never know that they're not doing anything wrong.
That is the problem. They are preaching to the choir. The mainstream isn't going to change. They are doubling down.
Well, there are some weird factors. There are some weird factors.
ESG money. They're still going to get their ESG financing.
That's part of it. Another part
it's starting to dry up, though.
If you look at Velma was it was a failure. Like there's no other way of describing it. Like as far as
nobody defended that. No one
watched it and no one liked it. It is not well reviewed. The reason it's getting a second season is because they made. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the source, but I'm pretty confident that I read that the reason why is because they produced 2 seasons at the same time, season 1 and season 2. But the people who were producing it, they were getting advice from people who measure the social media attention that it got, and they weren't evaluating if it was positive or negative. They were just evaluating any attention, and they said any attention is therefore positive. So like the people who are producing it are producing this content just based on the fact that it gets attention, whether it's positive or negative. So they just think, oh, attention is good, and then they produce more of it. So I don't know if that's good. Like, so my point being, I don't really know if that's good or bad and in which direction, because if they're wasting money on Velma and they're not getting a return on it, or how do you evaluate it? They don't share numbers anymore. They don't show streaming statistics. So like, I genuinely don't know when do you look at something like that, and how do you figure out if it's a positive or negative and which direction it goes in?
I'll tell you, and I disagree that all negative, all press, even negative press.
I agree. I agree with you. It is with that. Yeah.
Because it's like Razorfist said very, very recently. The only thing worse than a product that's bad that no one watches is a product that's bad that everyone watches. They're getting the feedback. They're getting the negative attention. It's just they feel they're in a place where they're too big to fail, and that they are. We're seeing right now that money is starting to dry up in a lot of areas. Look at how much money Disney has lost. Look at how much look at how many comics IDW's lost the IP for.
And yet they're putting out Snow White, who's Hispanic.
But don't forget, these are projects that have been in the works for years, and that train is not. That's a train that breaks slowly. They already announced that they were going to be with slowing down the amount of Star Wars and Marvel shows and giving them less money to work with. Good. And they can cope with, it's just going to be they're focusing on quality over quantity, but they're not quality. They've never been quality. If their quality was their concern, they would have done it to begin with, and they haven't. This is starting to.
That's how That's how you get your butt handed to you by a $14 million movie.
Yeah, it's starting to have an effect.
That looks better than your movie.
It just feels like it's not having an effect because they will never admit that they were wrong. They will never admit that something didn't work. They'll never admit it. They'll scale back and they'll quietly push ahead to the next thing. Right. But if you can read between the lines, you can see where we've won and they've lost. And if what Nerdrotic and EVS and Eric July were saying was not having an effect, they would not be constantly gaining more subscribers because their message is having an impact. You hear me, Movie Bob, you fat fuck? Okay. He once called the critical drinker Drek. And I'm thinking critical drinker's got 4 times your followers in less than a quarter of the time of being on YouTube as Bob, and he calls it Drek, that nobody listens to it. No, somebody's listening to Critical Drinker. A lot of people are listening to Critical Drinker. Bob, that means your message is not resonating. And his
Does Bob listen to you?
No. but fuck him
No.
anyway. If he
Hey,
does,
just in case you do, hey, Bob Chipman, you're a fat piece of shit. You're a fucking loser and you're a failure to launch. Your entire life has been a mistake.
Whoa.
Thanks, buddy.
go boil some chicken and some. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I promise I don't want to turn my channels into the
Boiled
drama
some
channels.
chicken.
But
That's a
promise
good
I
one.
wouldn't turn my my channels into drama channels.
At me, Bob.
Yeah, Bob don't give it. Bob pretends he's better than everybody else. So
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Well, he's
He'll never
fatter
see
than
this.
everyone
You
else,
don't-
but that's about it.
That is true. That is true. He does. Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway, we're kind of switching gears here. Okay, there goes my brain again. Let me go to the chat real quick for a distraction.
wow.
Gregory Levitri from over on Facebook. Thank you, sir, for showing up. Good to see you. They use boycotts against us. I've heard that theory before, that the boycotts were intentional, but I don't think so. I don't think they predicted how hard the pushback on some of those boycotts was going
Don't
to be.
respond to him. He'll light up your chat. About 30 in a row. So
B.A. Turner says I came back at an aggressive point.
I mean, it's just sideways trading. Like Bud Light isn't like down overall. So.
no. Well, yeah, Jared just went dark there for a minute. He went dark.
Look, so I don't talk about it because my God, it was 2000 and it's been 10 years. But I was in that whole Gamergate crap, and like Bob Chipman has been a very bad person, saying very bad things for a very long time. And the only person who's ever really called him out on it was Lindsay Ellis, and it's only because he got a little too uncomfortable, or maybe I should say he tried to get a little too comfortable with her, and that didn't quite go the way you wanted it, did it, Bob? So I don't like Bob Chipman very much, and I haven't liked him very much for a very long time.
Yeah.
And see, I watched him for a while. Now, before 2016, Bob was moderately watchable.
In 2016.
Moderately watchable, and even kind of centrist in his politics. But what happened was,
What happened in 2016?
yeah, 2016. And when you get him off his fucking politics and on like just nerd stuff,
He'll
he's
come to
actually
me.
not
He'll
too
come
bad.
to
But
me.
the signs were there that the wheels weren't quite all the way on the track. Like when he defended Metroid Other M twice and Sucker Punch twice. Like he really some things are just not as deep as you think.
That's actually
they are.
worse.
Oh,
He
no.
defended Other M.
Wait.
Hmm.
You're a Sucker Punch hater, aren't you?
I don't care. I've never seen it, but
Oh, okay.
it didn't seem very.
I'm
it
an
didn't
Other
seem
M
very-
hater, if that counts.
Very divisive movie. There are
It's a
people
Zack
who hate
Snyder
it and
movie.
people who love it. So I was trying to read the room. Fair enough.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I didn't care enough about Sucker Punch to develop an opinion about it both ways, but I know a lot of people didn't like it, and Bob was ducking and weaving, he was trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, basically. He's saying it was much deeper than it seemed, and it was just a bunch of nonsense. It was just content.
I
know
the
being
real disconnect came when the 2016
a
Ghostbusters.
lot
That's
of
what happened, right?
yeah.
That's what drove everybody crazy.
That was another.
That was the first movie I ever saw attack its fans for not liking it. That's the very first one.
Yes.
A habit that continues to this day, and that's the thing to me that I do not like the most about modern Hollywood is they openly, and unfortunately in some cases it does work, but it has started to have the effect of destroying a lot of projects. Look how much goodwill has been lost to the MCU in one phase in just 2-3 years since Endgame. Endgame was the highest of highs. It was like Marvel could do no wrong, and now it's like they can do no right. And that's another IP I just lost all interest in.
Yeah.
I don't even care anymore. It's the same thing with Star Wars.
Complete
Star
apathy.
Wars,
No.
yep.
Complete
Star
apathy.
Wars MCU, and I try to follow my kids. Like, what are my kids interested in? Because, like, you know, generational shit, stuff changes, whatever. And you could tell, like, they're not interested in Star Wars. You know, it's just okay and stuff. They kind of were with, like, Mandalorian, but since then, they haven't been into anything. So, nothing Star Wars anyways, you know. And the MCU, it's the same. Like, they used to want to go see the movies, Now we don't go to the movies, to go see that. We go see, whatever.
We
else
saw
is playing.
Spider-Man. That was about it. And
We
make
did
no
see
mistake
Spider-Man.
about it. Make no mistake about it. That was carried by nostalgia. And I saw it because I wanted to see Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, one of my favorite villains
that
of
one.
all
I thought
time.
you meant the cartoon one, because my kids did want to see the cartoon one, but
we did.
That was, it was, they liked the first one so much because the first one was really good that they wanted to see the second one. So yeah, we went and saw that one.
Spider-Verse. I
mean
enjoyed.
Into the Spider-Verse is what we were talking about, the Spider-Man movie where all three of them
Far From Home.
Yeah,
Far From Home. Yeah.
Yep.
No Way Home.
That one.
No Way Home.
No Way Home. That's
No Way
it.
Home.
Spider-Man Home Depot.
Spider-Man Home Improvement.
For no other reason than Andrew Garfield finally got to play Spider-Man. That movie should exist.
I'm glad they gave him a little bit of redemption in that, because Andrew Garfield's a good actor. He was done dirty by those shitty scripts.
There was nothing he could do to fix what he had to recite.
No.
Yeah, that's not his
Bless
fault.
his heart.
Do not blame that man at all.
No.
But I would be.
I thought it was funny that when he saved that girl, and then when he saved the girl, and then he was crying, he was emotional, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And it's like that was I truly believe that was Andrew Garfield, because he got that Spider-Man moment, and it was like it's like a lifelong goal to have that Spider-Man moment, and he thought he never would have it, and he got it. I honestly believe it was Andrew Garfield you were looking at right there. So,
and I've always said this: the Amazing Spider-Man 2, for as bad as that movie was, that was the best live-action Spider-Man suit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
hands down, no competition. I'm sorry, Toby, you're the GOAT, but that suit is the best because it looks exactly, and that's what I've always wanted, right, guys? When it comes to comic book movies, I want the movie to look like the fucking comic. I want the costumes to be at least somewhat accurate color-wise. You can throw all the little lines and different textures on it. That's fine.
Try to make it look real. Great.
But make it look like the comic that you get. And they go 10, 20 miles out of their way at times to not give us that.
Yeah.
Deadpool 3 is probably going to make $1 billion based solely on the fact they've got Hugh Jackman in the original Wolverine costume. Fucking thank you. It took 20 years and 15 movies that Fox was not able to do to finally give us what we asked for.
Yeah. So your favorite comic book movie adaptation then is the original Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine then.
That's fighting words.
No. I'll say that movie was some dumb fun, and the game that was based on it was fucking.
That
awesome.
game was stupid good, dude. That game had no right to be as good as it was.
No, it did not.
It did not have a right to be that good. It's
got that good opening cinematic, and that's all well good. And then it starts diving, double claws, fisted first into the ground from a helicopter, pauses right before you're about to impale that motherfucker who's staring up at you shooting a machine gun. And then it got a little grindy towards the end, and I started putting cheat codes on because I was kind of tired of losing a lot of levels. But man, that game was way more. You're right, way more fun than it had any right to be.
Yeah.
There you go. Every once in a while, you get something sweet out of a corpse.
It's true. Yeah.
And that's what I really just want. And the X-Men movies were the king of giving us a tease of accurate costumes and then not doing it in the next movie. They did it with Magneto. They did it with Wolverine. They did it with the regular X-Men. Like, if you came out with an X-Men movie tomorrow, like, scrap all your Marvel fucking projects, come out with an X-Men movie.
Yeah, please.
Use the cartoon theme that hooks so many people like myself. And then hold on. And then make the costumes completely comic accurate.
Melting in my hands.
$1 billion.
Oh shit!
What? Well, put it on a spoon, woman. No, I'm not eating out of your hand. Like, go put it on a spoon or something.
Now it's melted. I can't.
I don't care. I'm not eating out of your hand like a dog.
Come on now, Mama's got something for you.
No, go put it on a spoon.
Hey, look at my hands. I can't get a spoon.
I don't care. You're gonna have to wash your hands anyway. Get out of here. Okay,
Run,
we've reached the point of the. We're reached the point of the.
Does anybody want to make the whipping sound? Anybody? Okay. There we go. All right.
We've reached the point in the in the live streams where my wife starts to interrupt us. So it's probably time to go ahead.
Yeah.
Time to go ahead and put the kibosh on this.
Like, seriously.
Oh,
Not on stream. Thank you. That's all I asked. That's all I asked. Okay, now what was this? What was this? Orange. Go read the paper then.
Just eat it. Just eat it. Put it in your mouth.
Orange.
JAD tries it.
You have orange sorbet, some kind of dessert.
Give it to Michael. Give it to
orange
Mikey.
sorbet.
Mikey will eat anything. There you go.
It's like orange. It's like orange sherbet, but in kind of a custard form.
Orange creamsicle truffle.
Orange creamsicle truffle, she says.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
That's
That's like creamsicle. That's
I
good.
just hear you getting fatter. That'd
I'm
be
gonna have
good.
to freeze it.
That's okay. It's one spoonful. I hit the gym today. I earned at least one little treat before bed.
True.
There you go.
Today was arm day. Today was arm day, so we'll.
Looking good.
There you go. There you go.
Uh,
I'd be like a velociraptor for his arm day.
well, guys, I want to thank you guys for showing up. Let's give one last look at the campaign
Ooh.
before she starts throwing things at me. Just to be disruptive. Wait, where am I at? Okay, there we are. Arrow Comics presents Out of Obscurity. Can we play the trailer one more time, guys?
Go right
Sure.
ahead. Yeah.
Let's click, and of course, we're going to come over here to a different tab, and click that. Okay. What are we looking like on Streamlabs? I'm going to full screen this, guys, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Go for it.
All right, here's the trailer.
For an exhilarating journey into the boundless world of imagination. Welcome, comic book enthusiasts, to the extraordinary realm of Out of Obscurity. This groundbreaking anthology, published by Arrow Comics, unveils a legion of aspiring creators, each eager to leave their mark on the industry. Prepare to be captivated as they breathe new life into obscure public domain characters, creating their own unique tales within the pages of this awe-inspiring collection. Out of Obscurity is a testament to the unwavering passion and creative prowess of these emerging talents. They have meticulously resurrected forgotten heroes and heroines, spinning intricate yarns that span the ages. Brace yourself for action-packed battles, mind-bending mysteries, and heartwarming triumphs that will transport you to uncharted territories of excitement. By supporting our Fund My Comic campaign, you become an essential part of this historic endeavor. Together, we can catapult these aspiring creators towards their dreams of comic book glory. Join us on this epic odyssey and witness the birth of new legends. Your generous contributions will not only help us bring Out of Obscurity to life, but also grant you access to exclusive rewards, including remarkable artwork, signed copies, and behind-the-scene glimpses. Embrace the spirit of adventure, for within these pages, untold wonders await. Together, let us ignite the spark of greatness within these visionary talents and redefine the landscape of the comic book universe. Be a part of history and make Out of Obscurity a reality.
Ding.
Exclusively on Fund My Comic.
That's right.
Yep.
Yes.
Only place
And
you'll find
again, Beard of Darkness comes in at the end of the live stream. Beard, dude, I usually start streaming around 7 p.m. Central Time,
Yeah.
man. You got to, if I'm going to stream on any given night, like that's when I'm going to start, man. But thank you for dropping in. On the other end, eating brisket. I'm jealous. I've got some barbecue chicken waiting for me to restore everything I lost in the gym today. Build up that protein.
You'll never get your dignity back, though. Yeah.
Yeah. You want? Oh, I want you in too. I need to do a signal boost with a bunch of booktubers. That would be a lot of fun because the book fantasy booktubing community is really cool. And like I was mentioning earlier about breaking circles, there's a lot of different channels and avenues out there for us to network with other independent creators, whether they're indie authors or comics. But that is that is my ethos, and that is why I was glad to have all you guys here. T Bunny, Jared, Aaron, thank you all for joining me this
Thank
evening.
you so much.
It
Thanks
is
for having
very much appreciated. I wish you all well with the campaign. If
Thank
I
you.
can, once I'm paid my book cover off, I will. I'm definitely gonna have to get some wrestling fans together and have a discussion.
You better have me on that stream.
I better be on
will-
that stream.
Better.
Oh God, I've got a lot of friends.
That's right.
Quick, like I told Razorfist, what's the one thing you can talk about for an hour without having any preparation whatsoever? Why I stopped watching pro wrestling.
Bro, right here. Absolutely. Absolutely. yes.
Anyway,
You had to do like a segmented, like multi-man panel across like a whole week.
it probably would. You know, that's actually a good idea.
That's
I
just
may,
on Stone Cold Steve
I may do
Austin.
that.
So.
Okay,
As long as you get me in on one, we're good, brother. We're good.
All right. So I've reached the point where she's starting to throw things at me. So we're gonna have to shut it off for the evening. Everyone, thank you for jumping in. The links for the campaign are in the description. Out of Obscurity on Fund My Comic. Thank you to the contributors, writers of the Out of Obscurity comic, Mr. T Bunny, Mr. Jared, and Mr. Aaron. Thank you all for being here. Y'all have a good evening and hail. Oh wait, hold up. Hail the Iron Age.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Hail the Iron Age.